What's up guys, Johnny here, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you guys about the brand new Runcam Sparrow. Alright guys, so the Runcam Sparrow, it's basically kind of like a Micro Swift. The difference is it's a CMOS sensor and a 16:9 picture. Now personally I run the Dominator V3s, so I actually have a widescreen picture that I'm always looking at, but I've been racing a lot with the 4x3 camera, the Micro Swift. So I really wanted to check out this camera, see how it performs. It's a dead simple, drop straight in, use the same connectors, plug-in replacement for the Micro Swift, but I wanted to see if it would help me kind of get a better picture as I race, because it would no longer be distorting that picture as I'm racing around because of that stretching of the 4.3 image to fill the 16:9 window. Now I feel like there's been a lot of confusion about 16:9 or widescreen lenses and cameras compared to 4x3 cameras. A lot of people think of them like they basically take a 4x3 picture and extend it wider so you can see more to the sides. And that's not actually the case. If you think about it, what's going on is we're using the same lens regardless, and that projects a circular image onto the sensor. So what's actually happening is if you look at the way that the sensor sits inside of that lens, or the cone of light that shines through that lens, the widescreen image actually gets less of the vertical space. So what happens is if you compare with the same lens, like a 2.5 lens, and you look at where the sensor sits inside that light, you're actually going to see a lot less of the vertical size in the 16:9 than you would see in the 4x3 image. So anyway, what I've noticed is when I was comparing the 2.1 and the 2.3 lens on the Micro Swift, I much preferred the look of the 2.3. I should make another video going into my preference in lenses and all the different lenses that I've tried, but basically what it comes down to for me is with the 2.1, things start looking a lot further away, and what happens is when you're trying to line up that gate, you have a lot less visibility into that gate, fewer pixels to line up where that gate is, and I find myself going offline as I get towards that gate. Using the 2.3 compresses it just enough that I could see where I was going and have better lines around a race course. So anyway, that brings me back to the Micro Sparrow. So the Sparrow I'm running is actually a 2.1 lens, the same 2.1 lens that I used to use with the Runcam Micro. So my hope is the fact that because it's a wider picture and the widescreen image actually crops in further, my hope is that relatively you get about the same vertical resolution, but then you have a little bit more information on the width. And if that turns out to be the case, it'll be really, really nice for racing, but I'm curious to check it out. The other thing that I'm really intrigued by is the fact that it's a CMOS sensor. Now, I've had a mixed results with CMOS sensors. When I was using the Eagle, that thing does amazingly well in different types of light. But when I'm using the Monster, I feel like it doesn't handle the shadows as well. It loses a lot of detail in certain settings. But if you get it in the right setting, like right out, blue sky, beautiful, top of the day, it just looks amazing. So right now I'm here, I'm out at a local park. It's perfect time of day. The sun's high in the sky, absolutely beautiful, blue skies. But I am gonna set up a race course where I'm actually racing through the trees. Hopefully I'll mix in some shadows, some light, and we'll get a good idea of what that looks like versus another quad running the micro camera, which otherwise is basically the same quad. So my hope with this testing is that this camera will prove to be fantastic in different lighting conditions, kind of matching what I'm used to with the Eagle, but at the same point it'll give me more width, less distortion, and hopefully that should give me a better view as I go around the race course. Anyway, I got some gates set up out here for us. Let's start racing, let's start seeing about what they look like. I'm gonna start going real slow, start picking up the pace, and hopefully we can start telling the difference of what it's like versus the micro camera versus the Sparrow camera. Either way, I absolutely love this form factor. It's been a great addition by Runcam bringing out that Micro Swift, and I'm really excited to see they brought out a CMOS sensor with a widescreen, and hopefully it delivers just as well as the Micro Swift has. guys, first impression was actually really good. The picture looked real crisp. Had some really good saturation, colors look good. There's some weird banding going on in the sky, but it really didn't bother me flying around. This is a pretty tight course, lots of tight turns, not picking up too much speed, so I didn't have too much of an issue with vertical view yet, but I'm going to switch over to using the 4x3 2.3mm lens on the Micro Swift and just compare to see how that looks compared to this. But first impression was actually really, really good. Alright guys, so first impressions right off the bat, in these perfect lighting conditions, the picture that's coming out of that Sparrow is far superior to the picture that I'm actually getting on the Micro Swift. I just noticed the gates as they're in the distance, as I see them coming up, I can just see them so much clearer when I'm riding with the Sparrow. I wasn't quite expecting that. It's a different type of picture. The colors look better, just everything overall was looking a lot better. I'll be honest, it's not the first time I've flown with the Sparrow, but it's the first time I've flown in perfect lighting conditions, and every other conditions I definitely preferred the way the Micro Swift looked. But here today I'm really, really impressed with that Sparrow. The other thing I'll say though is that you can definitely tell you're losing that vertical imagery. I don't have quite the same up and down look that I get with the Micro Swift, which I was a lot more comfortable flying around with that Micro Swift. I could tell my speed better, I could tell where I was going better, and that resulted in better lap time so far. But so far I think it's just because that's what I'm used to. As I start going faster and faster, we'll see if it starts hurting me to have less vertical resolution of the Sparrow. But let's burn through a bunch of packs and let's see what we learn. Alright guys, only after a couple of batteries I noticed I'm really starting to get used to this camera. I was starting to go faster and faster. The first time I went on my first battery, I think I had 19.2 as my fastest lap. This time I just had a 14.7. So that's a huge improvement in speed, and what I have noticed is that I'm starting to have times where I'm really looking down at the ground, can't really see in front of me, and I know I can be going even faster. So that vertical visibility of this wide angle lens is definitely impacting me. I could probably just run with a little bit more tilt and be totally fine, but lately I've liked running with a little less tilt, which has been really nice with the Micro Swift camera. So anyway, I'm gonna go switch back over to the Micro Swift camera, see if I can get down to the 14.7s or even better, just to keep comparing these. The other thing I'd say is I'm actually running a GoPro on the quad that has the Sparrow, and at first I was having a hard time keeping track of that height, just because I wasn't used to that vertical aspect. Once I got used to the vertical piece, the GoPro wasn't really that noticeable. It's obviously a little bit heavier, it doesn't control quite as well, but you know, let's see what I can do with that Micro Swift. guys, I've now put through the same number of batteries with the GoPro and the Sparrow compared to without the GoPro and with the Micro Swift. I'm actually having faster laps with the GoPro. Then again, I'm probably consistently faster with the Micro Swift. I think I just need to do more and more batteries. I think I definitely prefer the way it flies without the GoPro. It's just real snappy. But at the same point, it's a little bit harder for me to control, and I think that my lines haven't been quite as crisp, and that's what's happening. But I definitely prefer the way the vertical view looks when I'm using the Micro Swift. Yet the whole picture that I'm seeing, I prefer the way it looks in the Sparrow. So right now what I'm thinking is if I could find something wider than a 2.1 to put on the Sparrow, I think I definitely prefer that camera. Unfortunately, I don't think they make such a thing. So I'm gonna keep burning packs and see which one I like better in the end. Alright guys, at this point I'm definitely going faster with that Sparrow than I am with the Runcam Micro. And I think maybe it's because of the GoPro, maybe that added weight is just making me a little bit more stable around my turns and it doesn't jump out quite as much. Anyway, I'm to get the GoPro off the Sparrow, so they're basically the same exact builds. And let's see if that speed keeps up or if I start dropping down. I'm really curious to see why I'm going faster. Wow, so it's definitely not the GoPro that was making me go faster. Once I dropped that GoPro, dropped the weight back down to the other, that thing was much faster for me around this course. I felt way better. It was much more consistent speeds. I put up probably 5 laps better than I put up all day with anything else. So definitely seems like I'm flying a lot better with that camera. I just got to burn more and more packs and figure this out exactly. So I think what it is that I can see those gates so much better in the distance just because the picture is that much clearer with the Sparrow. It's helped me line them up and have more confidence as I attack them. So I'm really liking this camera. Alright guys, so let me just sum this up for you with the Runcam Sparrow. I'm super impressed with this. I did not expect these results at all. The very first time I used it, just that vertical difference was really hard to fly with. I didn't really like it. The lighting conditions I had weren't perfect. It wasn't quite as good as the Micro Swift, but I could still fly with it. Anyway, when I came out here and used it like a true racer, like on a race course like I would with this particular camera, I was really impressed. I was way faster when using this camera. So the question is why? What was the difference when I was using this Sparrow versus the Micro? And I think there's two main things. One, there was noticeably more detail in the camera. So when I was lining up gates in the distance, I could do it with a lot more confidence when I was flying with the Sparrow than when I was flying with the Micro. I think that made a big difference for me in just getting that speed. The other thing is, you know, I've kind of grown used to it, but when I fly with the 4.3 camera like the Micro, I'm flying with 16:9 goggles. And that means the edges get all distorted. So I think as I'm making turns, I was not as crisp when I was flying with the Micro. I think just having that perfect 16:9 goggle camera matchup made a big difference for me. It allowed me to go a lot faster and turn with more confidence. My turns were crisper, everything looked better. Well, I don't know what to say. I guess I'm gonna have to switch over to the Sparrow on my racing builds. I did not expect these results. So guys, if you have widescreen goggles like I do, you're currently rocking a 4.3 Micro camera, try out the Sparrow. I think you really like it. There's definitely no noticeable delay. There's no noticeable lag using that CMOS camera. And I was getting around that course a lot faster. It made a big difference for me. So, you know, give it a shot. You might see the same results I did. Try it out. I'm really impressed. Good job, Runcam. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for me. I'm going to leave you some of the GoPro footage from the racing today, just so you can see what kind of speeds I was flying with. And I hope to catch y'all next time. Peace.